welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Paloma and this is Paloma Beauty. Now starting off with a fresh face today, no makeup, because I am going to be doing a foundation review. Okay, now the foundation I am reviewing today is the Revlon. I swear trucks just love to go past my house. Now the foundation I'm reviewing today is the Revlon Candid Glow Foundation. So they do have an original Candid. This is the new Glow version. And it says as Moisture Glow Anti-Pollution Foundation with prickly pear oil, antioxidant, anti-pollutant, and ingredients that help block blue light. So without fragrances or synthetic dye. So it's claiming to be really good for your skin without all the nasties. I have the shade 120. Now, I did actually struggle finding a shade to match my skin tone. It was really good on the labels it had, whether it was like pink undertone, yellow undertone, neutral. The paler shades only had one yellow undertone one. So I feel like it might be a little bit pale, but that's what bronzer's for. So I'm going to start off, I'm just going to pump it onto the back of my hand. I don't know how much, I'm just going to do 2 pumps. It's quite a nice consistency, like it's not too runny and it's not super moussey or anything. So I need to, probably should have pinned my hair back. That's alright. So I'm just doing the primed side first to see how it goes on. Okay, so I've done one side of my face with the primer and the colour actually matches my neck really well, but my neck is quite a lot paler than the rest of my body. But it went on quite nicely. It definitely is light coverage. So now I'm just going to do the other side with my sponge as well, but this side has no primer on it. Alright, I've done both sides looking like Casper the Ghost, a bit pale. But I actually think the side that has no primer on it, this side, it went on nicer, like it went on smoother. I feel like the side with the primer is a little bit patchy and the foundation kind of lifted off whenever I put my sponge down. It would kind of lift off the foundation. But then on the unprimed side, this side, it went on a lot smoother and actually stuck to my skin a little bit better, which is interesting. So good to know that you don't need a primer for this foundation for its application. We'll see how long it lasts with or without the primer by the end of the day. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that settle a little bit and I'm actually gonna do my brows and I'll be right back. But my brows are just not cooperating today, but anyway, I'm gonna move on to concealer, and the concealer I'm using is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade 15. I hope this isn't too dark for this foundation because foundation is quite pale. Probably a little bit dark for it. Now for today's eyeshadow look, it's going to be really easy. I'm just going for like a soft glam today because we're focusing more on the foundation. Okay, that concealer blended in really nice with that foundation. I've got like a bit of texture here. I think I've had a reaction to something, so it's kind of made my eye more puffy than usual. So that's why it looks a little bit funny there, but it's just like a few little bumps along my eye here. I keep thinking if I blend over it, it'll go away, but you know, should stop doing that. Okay, for the eyeshadow look today, I'm going to be using a palette that I have been using forever. It is the BH Cosmetics Shan XO palette. Now, this palette was created by Shannon here on YouTube, Shan XO. She's a really big beauty influencer, and I love this palette. So you get 9 eyeshadows here. You can see that I've been using this one to death. And then on the other side, if you flip it over, you get 9 lipstick shades, which I think is really cool. Nice compact eyeshadow palette. Unfortunately, you can't buy this palette anymore, but I thought I'd take it back and use this because I haven't seen anyone use it in a really long time, and I love it. It's got some really nice shimmery shades in it for just like a fresh everyday look. Now I'm going to start off with this shade here. It's a really good shade to set your lid. As you can see, I've used it a lot. Now I'm just getting like a big fluffy brush like this just to save time. I'm just going to go over my lid with this just to set down that concealer. Now this eye look I'm doing today, it's nothing fancy, it's really easy. There's many looks like this out there, but I just thought because we're focusing more on the foundation, I'll just do an easy go-to look. I love using these kind of brushes to set my lid. It's so quick and easy. I feel like that foundation has settled really nicely on my skin. Hasn't clung to any dry patches, which is really nice. And even the side, the primer side, it's kind of looks a little bit smoother now, which is good. Now before I go in with any more of the mattes from the eyeshadow palette, I'm just going to go in with my Milani Baked Bronzer in Dolce. And I'm actually just going to put a little bit of that in my crease, just using a big fluffy brush, just to kind of warm up my crease a little bit and act as a transition shade. I'm just putting a little bit. Alright, for the next shade, I'm going to mix the reddish terracotta one and the yellow one together. This creates kind of like a peachy color. If you mix the two, it's a really nice combination. So those two shades together are really nice. It's kind of like a peachy, orangey color, and depending on how much you use of each shade, like you can make it more yellowy, you can make it more reddish, which is really good. You can just mix it up. I'm going to put those two shades on my lower lash line as well, just connecting to the top shades. Okay, now I'm just going to get a flat brush like this. This is a Wet n Wild flat brush, and I'm going to dive into, there is actually another matte in this palette, I just completely bypassed it. It's this one here. It's a really dark, cool tone brown. And I'm just going to put this on my lash line, just in the outer corner a bit, just to add a little bit of definition, not too much. I'm kind of just pressing it on, lifting up my eyebrows so I get it really close to the lash line. Now I'm not wigging it out or anything, it's just to add a little bit of colour to my lash line. Now for my lid shade, I've got a couple options. I'm looking at either this like rosy pink colour, we've got more of a bronzy, like a true bronze colour. That one's going to be too dark. I think I might go for this one here. That one might be a little bit too dark with the shades I've already got on my lid. So I'm going to go for this like pinky rose gold colour. I might even mix it with this champagne one here as well. So I'm just going to first spray my brush. I'm using my L'Oreal Infallible Magic Setting Spray, just so I get more of a vibrant look out of these shadows. Now I'm going to mix the pinky one and the champagne colour one together. That looks good. Now I really love BH Cosmetic eyeshadows. They are really inexpensive, they don't crease on my oily eyelids, and there are some really fun palettes on their website to choose from, and they have lots of sales, which is really great. So I'm just bringing that to about 2/3 of the way on my lid, and then I'm just going to get that fluffy brush that I used earlier, just kind of blend out the edges, make sure everything's nice and seamless. What is on my eye? Now I'm just picking up the lightest shimmer that I'm using and putting it closest to my lash line. This is going to make the center of your eye pop. You don't want to go over that liner. If you do, that's fine. You can just go back over it with the dark matte. Okay, with that lightest shimmery shade, I'm going to use that on my inner corner and my brow bone. I'm just dragging it into the lid shade as well, so everything connects. It's super bright, that. I love it. Okay, eyes are done. I did my mascara. Oh, I forgot to do my bottom mascara. The mascara I use is the Rimmel Lash Accelerator Endless Mascara. Really good. I feel like this eye though is not cooperating. You know when you just have those days and one of your lashes is just like, oh, I'm going to clump up today. That was that one, so I had to work a little bit harder with that, but really like that mascara. It's nice and black. It's a good everyday mascara. think it's time we bronze up the face because I'm looking very pale. Okay, the bronzer I'm using today is the Milani Baked Bronzer in Dolce, the same one I used in my crease. And I'm just gonna do that. Now that bronzer has applied really nicely to the foundation. The foundation's actually settled really nicely on the skin. To be honest, I wouldn't say it's a super glowy foundation. I mean, it says on the packaging Candid Glow, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of glow. I'd say it's more like a satin matte. So if you are looking for a really glowy foundation, I don't know if this is the one. However, it might kind of become more glowy throughout the day, depending on like oils on your face or just it wearing in a little bit better. Now for highlight, I'm using my L'Oreal Glow Mon Amour drops. Now I realized I was watching my current favorites video that I did. I didn't even put this in my current favorites video, which is shocking because it's probably like my most favorite product at the moment. So yeah, if you've watched that, this should be in it. Now instead of using my fingers to apply this, I'm actually going to use my beauty blender. I did this the other day and it applied really nicely. So I've just put the drops on the back of my hand and I'm just using the very tip of my dirty face sponge to apply it. I just feel like with this face sponge it does apply a little bit better than using my fingers. I'm also going to put a little bit down my nose as well. Probably easier to use your fingers for your nose though. Okay, for blush, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Cheek Heat Gel Blush. Again, I should have done this before my bronzer. I did this last time. Why do I do this to myself? And I just put way too much on my hand too, but that's alright. It is quite a sheer blush. Again, I'm going to be using my beauty blender to blend that in. It's a shame. I was really looking forward to this foundation being like a really fresh, glowy foundation. Don't get me wrong, like I really love the finish now. It looks really good, but I kind of was excited for it to be a glowy foundation. But we'll see how it wears throughout the day. Now with my blush, I like to put a little bit over my nose as well. Kind of adds that natural sun-kissed look, like you've just been at the beach, got a little bit of colour. Alright, now to finish the skin, I'm actually going to do a bit of contouring, and the contour palette I'm using today is the Tarte Pro Glow To Go. It's a nice little compact contour kit. And what brush am I going to use? It's all dirty. Alright, the brush I'm using is a Zoeva Luxe Cheek Finish brush. So for lips, I am going in with my NYX Natural Lip Liner, just to lightly line my lips. My lips are so dry. You know when you wake up and you like smile or you move your mouth and your lip cracks? That's what happened to me this morning. It's actually so painful. So we're using a very moisturizing lipstick today. So the lipstick I'm using today is from CoverGirl. It's in the shade 230 Creme. It looks like this. It's a really sheer moisturizing nude lipstick. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the centers. It's very light as well. So with these really light colors, unless you're very fair, you don't want to put it all over your lips because it can make you look a bit washed out. So what I like to do is just put a little bit in the center. And then using my finger, I just blend it out. Gives you kind of like that ombre effect. Okay, that is the finished makeup look. Really easy, just soft glam. Now, looking at the foundation, I really love how it's looking. It's actually looking a lot better than when I first applied it. It has definitely more of a satin matte finish, which is quite funny because it is a Candid Glow, but it looks really good. Pretty nice coverage as well. Like if you do want extra coverage, you can just use your concealer just to add in coverage where you need it. I had quite a few pimples on my face today and it's covered those up pretty nicely. You can only see like a couple of them down here on my chin. But all the other products applied really nicely to them. They didn't skip and they went on quite smoothly, which is good. Okay, so the time now is 11:40 and I'm gonna come back in around 4 hours just to check in with you guys, let you know how it's looking, how it's wearing. I do have some errands I need to run, so I'll be out and about. So I'll see you soon. All right, I'm back. It's been about 4 hours. I've been out and about, running some errands, and to be honest, the foundation hasn't really changed at all. Like, it still looks pretty nice. It hasn't rubbed off. Sometimes I get the foundation like comes off of my forehead, but that's usually from like my hands running through my hair. It has gone like a little bit dry around, I've got like some texture here, some pimples, especially on my chin. Maybe it's clung to it a little bit, but nothing too noticeable. My bronzer and contour and everything is still intact. And usually my foundations wear off on the side here, but it hasn't yet. But again, it has only been 4 hours. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Hasn't gotten too oily, because even though I have dry skin, I still get oily combination skin. So it hasn't like separated around my nose or anything, which is good. All right, I've just zoomed you in so you can see my skin up close, but you can see like it doesn't look patchy, it's not super oily, hasn't clung to any major dry areas on my skin. It has come off a little bit on my nose, but I find that happens with all my foundations. I don't know why my nose just like foundation doesn't stick on very well. But I think it still looks really good 4 hours later. So when I wear foundations, I wear them for like a solid 10 hours. So what I'm going to do is, unfortunately I can't do a 10-hour wear test today, but I will wear it for a few more hours and I will come back and let you guys know how it's going. But overall, I'm really impressed with the formula and the finish of it. I think it looks great so far. So I'll be back soon. Okay, so I'm back 2 hours later. I've had the foundation on for around 7 hours now, and I think it's worn really well. You can see my natural oils have come through, so I'm looking a little bit shiny, but it's quite normal for me, especially after this amount of time. The foundation has worn off a little bit around this area, but again, that does happen with most of my foundations. It has come off around my lips, but I have been eating, so that's probably why. Overall, I think the foundation looks really good. It hasn't oxidized or anything. Like, it does look a little bit dark right now. It's just the lighting and obviously my bronzer, but it has sunk in a little bit around my nose here, but that's probably just my oils kind of breaking down the foundation, and it has worn off my nose, but again, that's quite normal. But on my cheeks, like my bronzer, my blush still look nice. They don't look patchy, and my forehead looks good. So yeah, I'm really impressed and I'm really happy that I found another foundation that I like. I know it says like claims to be a glowy foundation, but it took like 6 hours for my skin to look this glow, and that's from my natural oil. So it's not like a really shiny kind of dewy foundation, but that's fine because I really like the finish of it. So if you guys are in the market for a new foundation that's got light to buildable medium coverage, definitely consider getting the Revlon Candid Glow Foundation, and it's from the chemist, so it's super affordable. Alright guys, if you have any foundations that you want me to review, please let me know in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!